The year is 1963. Ferruccio Lamborghini, a successful tractor manufacturer, is unhappy with his Ferrari. He thinks the car's clutch breaks too easily. He drives to the neighboring village of Maranello and knocks on the door of none other than Enzo Ferrari. The meeting, which was quite short, would change the fate of supercars forever. It would be a textbook example of how to not treat your customers. Mr. Lamborghini explained that the clutch was bad. He also made a suggestion on what Mr. Ferrari, with simple means, could do for the clutch to last much longer. Enzo Ferrari had a very hard time accepting constructive criticism. Instead of listening to the proposal, he rejects Ferruccio with the now famous words, "Let me make cars. You stick to making tractors." Ferruccio drove home, furious. Instead of being well received for his ideas, he had been rejected in the worst possible way. The insult was painful, really bad. He was also an engineer. His tractors were the best in Italy. On the way home, he made a fateful decision. He would also build sports cars, and they would be faster and better than Enzo Ferrari's. Lamborghini, as we know it, was born. The work started immediately. In just 4 months, a small factory was built in Sant'Agata, and the first car model saw the light of day. The car was presented at the annual car show in Turin 1964 and was called the Lamborghini 350 GT. How could Lamborghini build and finish a car in just 4 months? There was an explanation. 2 years earlier, something important happened in Maranello, something that would be absolutely crucial to Ferruccio Lamborghini's success. 5 gentlemen had stepped into Enzo Ferrari's office in Maranello, among others, Carlo Chiti, who was the chief engineer, and legendary development manager Giotto Bizzarini. They were unhappy that Enzo's wife, Laura Ferrari, was making important decisions on the factory floor. They wanted Laura to stop messing about in the production. Enzo Ferrari was furious. Instead of correcting his wife's behavior, all 5 key people got fired on the spot. These 5 immediately started a competing business in Bologna, a design agency for racing and sports cars called ITS. When Ferrari asked Lamborghini to stick to building tractors, and not try to give him any suggestions on how to improve Ferrari's products, Lamborghini approached these 5 gentlemen. The 5 former key people at Ferrari could then, very quickly, build a car for Lamborghini. The first car, the 350 GT, is quite well received. 13 customers buy the car right away. Over the next 2 years, a total of 120 cars will be built. These cars are priceless today. The 350 GT was a slow and cautious start. This car hardly worried Ferrari, but in 1965 it was time for a car show in Turin again. Now things became completely different, for here came the car that would shake up the world of supercars completely, including Ferrari. The car that would, seriously, put Lamborghini on the map. The car was revolutionary. Inspired by Phone, the engineers had put the engine behind the driver. It became the first production car with the engine in the center of the car. It was called Lamborghini Miura, and immediately became a success. Finally, Mr. Ferruccio had the car he wanted to take on Enzo Ferrari with. After that horrible meeting in Maranello, the beginning of the 70s would not end well. Unfortunately, the oil crisis came to say hello. The world was sent down in a spiral of economic disaster. The supercar market shrank by 80% in just a year. Although work on the legendary Countach had begun, Ferruccio Lamborghini was forced to sell his company. He sold the company to an acquaintance. Ferruccio Lamborghini completely stopped building cars and tractors. Instead, he retired to his mansion on Lake Tricino in Perugia, where he started a small production of wine. Later, a hotel with a restaurant and a golf course was also built. The place is called Tenuta Lamborghini and exists today. However, the new owners of the factory continued. After some time, onto the stage comes the car that many, including myself, had on a poster in their rooms growing up. After the company went bankrupt and switched owners a number of times, it was eventually sold to the Audi Group, who ended up purchasing it for $110 million in 1998. They were responsible for launching many iconic cars, including the Lamborghini Gallardo and the Lamborghini Huracan.